Hello, this is Talking Europe. Today we're talking about big change underway at the top of the European Union's biggest and wealthiest member state, Germany. Angela Merkel saying her last goodbyes as Chancellor, while coalition talks are well underway. The centre-left Social Democratic Party set to lead a three-way traffic light coalition that's never been seen in the German government before. Many questions abound about the future for Germany, not least whether the Social Democrats, Greens and Liberals can reconcile their differing policy agendas amid climate crisis and a burgeoning fourth wave of COVID-19. Well, our guest today to speak about all of this, the former leader of Germany's Social Democrats, the man who bid for the chancellorship in 2017, only to be pipped by Angela Merkel's Christian Democrats. He's also a former president of the European Parliament and president of the Friedrich Ebert Foundation. Martin Schulz, thank you very much for being with us on Talking Europe.
Hello.
I'd like to talk first about the outgoing Chancellor briefly, Angela Merkel. How will she be remembered in Germany?
16 years of Angela Merkel is for sure an exceptional time ruling a country during 4 mandates, 16 years. And I think at the end, she had a worldwide standing and recognition as a leader of the Western world. And in Germany, the balance is 50-50. She is, without any doubt, a great personality. On the other hand, there is an economic, cultural and social stagnation in the country, making it necessary to change the government.
Just on November the 3rd, a couple of days ago, Angela Merkel made her final official visit here to France. President Macron decorated her with the highest award France has to offer, the Grand Cross of the Legion of Honour. Just looking at the future of the Franco-German alliance in the traffic light coalition era, can that alliance be as strong?
That alliance will be stronger in the relation with France than Angela Merkel's relationship was. Look, Angela Merkel used to work with Jacques Chirac, with Nicolas Sarkozy, with François Hollande and Emmanuel Macron. And Sarkozy, Hollande, Macron made a lot of suggestions and propositions to Germany to deepen the integration of the European Union. And the answer of Germany under the leadership of Angela Merkel was always wait and see. And therefore, I'm absolutely sure that the next government, composed by 3 parties, deeply pro-European, will be stronger in the relationship to France than it was the case with Angela Merkel.
I just want to look at the specific election results from September. Your party, the SPD, did get the biggest single vote share in that election, but it wasn't a crushing majority by any means. How strong a mandate does this give the SPD at the head of this, what is going to be a 3-way coalition as well?
We are the strongest party, the Social Democratic Party in Germany. I think the decisive element in the election was the question who is able to replace Angela Merkel. You just, with your 2 first questions, raised the importance of Angela Merkel as the Chancellor of Germany after ruling the country in such a long time. And the question for the voters in Germany was quite visible for everybody. Who amongst the 3 candidates, Laschet, Baerbock, Scholz, is able to replace Merkel nationally, in Europe and worldwide? And the answer was quite clear. Over 70% of voters in Germany said Olaf Scholz. And that's the reason why he has a strong mandate to lead the government.
Now, when the coalition talks began, it actually started with the 3rd and 4th placed parties, the Greens and the Liberal FDP, talking between themselves. Does that mean that they're setting the agenda to a degree in this coalition?
No, I think the other way around. The divergences between these 2 parties are much deeper than between the Social Democrats and the Greens or the Social Democrats and the Liberals. These 2 parties are in a certain way antipodal, and therefore I think they needed to check out, first of all, if they agree on the core elements which are necessary to build a government.
Okay, let's take a look at a report that our team's prepared now. As with most elections and votes over recent years, I'm sure you know, Mr. Schulz, that the German federal election was not immune to fake news. Celine Schmidt from our Europe team has been looking at some of the biggest fake news stories of the German election.
In Germany, this past September 26th was an historic moment, Election Day, when voters chose who would follow Angela Merkel as Chancellor. But the campaign was littered with fake news. The most targeted was the Green Party's candidate, Annalena Baerbock, getting 72% of the inaccurate stories, with the CDU's Armin Laschet receiving 28% of the fabricated articles. Olaf Schulz of the SPD, who led in the polls, was largely spared the fake news stories, according to the NGO Avaz. Following her designation as Green candidate in April, Baerbock rocketed up the poll standings. At the same time, fake quotes quickly went viral. Two in particular gained traction online.
Getting rid of dogs alone can save around 19 million tonnes of carbon dioxide in Germany.
This falsely claims that Annalena Baerbock wanted to ban or restrict pet ownership to reduce carbon emissions in Germany. And it's fake news. In May, another false post claimed that the Greens champion wanted to get rid of the widow's pension and to redirect the funds to refugees instead. Both these fake news were widely shared online, despite the Greens denying their veracity and the German media proving they were false. Some in the Green Party raised concerns that the far right and Russia were behind the disinformation. For German broadcaster Deutsche Welle, the impact of the fake news was limited due to accurate fact-checking. But opinion polls indicate 2/3 of Germans think the disinformation poses a threat to the federal government.
A report by Celine Schmidt with Luke Brown. Martin Schulz, we heard there that our partner network, Deutsche Welle, thinks the impact of these fake stories was moderate. But some Green Party members that our team contacted aren't so sure. What's your assessment?
It was limited. I think the Deutsche Welle was right, but nevertheless, it is worrying me also that this kind of attempt to influence countries' elections is existing, and it is obvious that the right-wing extremist parties try to have a profit from it, and therefore we should be very, very prudent and should spend more attention to this development.
Let's just look at some specifics that are likely to come up regarding the future government. Rumours are currently abounding about who will get the second most important job in the German government, finance minister. There's a lot of buzz around the leader of the liberal FDP party, Christian Lindner. Is he the man for the job?
It's not up to me to discuss the distribution of portfolios in the government which is not yet existing. Therefore, I prefer not to answer to your question. This is up to the Chancellor and to the leaders of the parties building the coalition to decide who will get which ministry after finalizing the negotiation about building that coalition.
Well, just for example, there are those who say that the finance minister job should go to someone from the Green Party because they were third placed in the election, whereas the FDP was only in the fourth place. Does that delegitimise Christian Lindner just on that level?
Yeah, once more, please understand that as a former leader of the Social Democratic Party, as a former candidate to the Chancellery, as somebody who negotiated the coalition agreement with Angela Merkel 4 years ago, I know very well the situation in which the negotiators are for the time being. And what they absolutely don't need is that their predecessor comment what they are doing or give advices or commentaries to the ongoing negotiations or distribution of ministers. Therefore, please understand that I will not answer to this question and not comment who will be able to get which kind of ministry.
Just want to ask you about one specific policy area that's very important with the climate crisis right now. The draft coalition agreement foresees an exit from coal-fired power stations by 2030. But the previous government had also vowed to end nuclear power in Germany by 2022. As we know, there are many who say nuclear has its issues, but it is almost pretty much zero carbon. Can these two promises really exist at the same time? Can they be reconciled?
This depends from the speed of changing the system. If the renewable energy is sufficiently available, then this kind of scenario could become realistic. It depends from solar energy, from wind energy, from all these strategies to reduce the use of energy. This is a mix of different measures. I'm optimistic that we can achieve the data foreseen now in the draft agreements.
And just a final question. Can you tell us any indication of how soon we can expect an announcement that this coalition government has been finalised?
Olaf Scholz has the wish to be elected as Chancellor in the parliamentarian session beginning the 6th of December. So I'm quite optimistic that end of November we will have a new government in Germany.
All right, Martin Schulz, thank you very much for speaking to us on Talking Europe. Thank you very much for your insights. And thanks to you for watching Talking Europe as well. I do hope you'll stay with us for part 2 of the programme in a couple of minutes' time.